Alright guys, Season 3 Charlotte has just dropped in the game, and I did farm out potions ahead of time. I farmed out everything I needed ahead of time besides Bond, but I did save up some skip tickets, so I was able to get her to LR right away. So today, we are going to be talking about what build you should be doing for this character, because she is literally the best Season 3 character you can pull. So if you have pulled her, congratulations, that is a massive dub. Let's talk about the skills you want to upgrade, what skill cards you want to equip to her, what gear you want to be putting on her, whether or not you should enhance her, and then what talents you want to run on the talent tree, as well as what teams you want to be using her on in both PvP and PvE. Now, I will say this is a character you're going to be using quite a bit in PvP because she is really good. Okay, so starting with skill 1, it is called Rapid Thorns. It grants a counterattack to the ally with the highest all attack for 1 turn, and then as you scale this up, it just scales how much damage you do. And then for skill 2, it is Preview and Review, grants all allies a 40% increased all attack buff for 2 turns. And then if you have her skill card, grants all allies a total defense buff for 1 turn, which reduces your overall damage taken. That is insanely good. However, this gets better when you upgrade it, because as you upgrade it, you can increase that 40% chance to or not 40% chance, 40% increased attack to 60% increased attack. So that is attack and magic attack both. So she is a good supporter for either magic attack characters or attack characters, which is insane, right? So Charlotte is really good. 60% increased attack and magic attack off of 1 skill for the whole team is insanely, like, really good. It's broken almost, I want to say. It's crazy good, right? And then for her special skill, it is called Clover Academy Instructor Skill. Grants all allies a 60% chance to counterattack for 1 turn. And as you upgrade this skill, that counterattack activation rate increases until eventually, if you get it to level 5, it gives a 100% chance for every ally to counterattack. That is insanely good, right? That is just going to be so annoying in PvP. And it's also really good for PvE too, because it just gives you that many more hits, right? And then for her combined attack is even good. Everything about the Charlotte is like good, right? It grants all allies a 12% reduced damage taken buff for 2 turns. It can reduce damage even more as you upgrade it, so it adds an extra 2 there, making it 14, an extra 2 there, making it 16, extra 2 there, making it 18, and an extra 2 there, making it an extra 20% reduced damage taken for 2 turns. That is insanely good. Now, in terms of upgrade priority, which one of these should you be upgrading first? It's honestly a toss-up for me between the combined attack, because this lasts for 2 turns. Having that damage reduction for 2 turns is insanely good, or going for the counterattack upgrade. That way you have a 100% chance to counterattack, right? You could go either or on this. Personally, I think the extra defense or the extra damage reduction is going to be more useful in PvP, especially with people running barriers and stuff right now. Add the extra defense to the barriers with Noelle, to the barriers with Radius, to the extra defense that Radius gives, right? And you could have some really good reduced damage. Additionally, if you are running Charlotte with other blue characters like Mars and stuff like that, this extra defense for a blue team could be insanely good with like Season 2 Charmy's healing, and then everything else that is going on. It's just a really good skill. So upgrade priority, I'd probably go your combo skill, then I would go your special skill, then I would go skill 2, even though it's an increased all attack by 60% when you upgrade it. You want to upgrade every skill, okay? But that's probably the order I go. And then last but not least, I would go skill 1. Skill 1 is literally the least important. Do not upgrade this, you don't even really need to upgrade it at all, okay? So keep that in mind. And then for her passive is really good too. If all allies have the technique attribute, when the battle starts, inflict silence on all enemies for 1 turn. So if all allies are blue, you'll silence all enemies at the start of battle, which is insane. Dude, she's just so good. She's just so good. And then for her skill card, you do want her skill card. It is the best one you can put on her because it grants all allies a total defense buff for 1 turn at the start of battle, which is great. And then additionally, it gives you 20% chance to grant SP +1 upon being attacked. That is really good too, because that's going to allow her to get either her combo skill back faster, which I said was really good, or her special skill back faster, which once again I said was really good. So that is the best skill card you can run on her. Now, if you didn't get her skill card, then this would be another option. Hopefully you have this. It's a general pool skill card with Sally on it, and upon using skill 2, applies 10% increased all attack to the ally with the highest attack for 2 turns. That works pretty well because it just gives an extra attack buff on top of your skill 2 attack buff that you're already giving to allies, right? So this is probably like the next best skill card you can put on Charlotte. Besides that, you could run other supporter cards like Finral's supporter card or Valtos's, but they're not going to be as good, right? You could potentially run Williams, but those are kind of the 2 skill cards I would run over any others on Charlotte, if that makes sense. There are some general pool skill cards you could run, but like if anything, I'd run the stun skill cards, right? So like this one that I have on Mars prevents stun. You could put that on Charlotte. That might be useful. That way she doesn't get stunned. That way you can give counterattack to your whole team. That could be decent. Other than that, I wouldn't worry too much about like running any of these general pool ones because they just increase like your attack, and she's a support character. So yeah, genuinely the skill cards I showed you are the best ones that you can put on her. And then let's talk about gear. Okay, so the absolute best thing that you can run on Charlotte is this right here. Okay, it is going to be a mobility set with a defense set, specifically the gold mobility set. That way it gives her extra speed, and then a gold defense set. That way it gives her 30% extra defense. Okay, if you look at Charlotte's speed, she already has a pretty high speed of 120. This makes her speed 125. If you want to be able to go before the enemy team with your Charlotte, you definitely want a speed set on her because that is going to help her out a lot. Now, in terms of stats that you should be going for, you should probably be going for attack stats on Charlotte. Her attack is higher than her magic attack, but once again, she only has one move that actually does damage, so I wouldn't worry too much about like your overall stats here going for anything. If anything, I would worry more about like your substats, and on substats I would go for either HP or defense. HP and defense are going to be the best substats you can get, so extra defense and HP is going to give you more survivability with this character. Okay, now in terms of sets, like when I say gold sets, I want to explain what I mean really quickly. Okay, if you go to grade here, you go to sets, and you look over here, you'll notice you have an attack set, defense set, HP set, mobility set, so on and so forth. Okay, and then over here we have the same thing: attack, defense, HP, mobility, except for they have a gold star on them. Gold sets or gold star sets are always better than regular sets because they give better boost to your character. So if you can, you want to be equipping gold sets to your character. Okay, so once again, to get a full set, you need 4 pieces of the same gear type. So Secret of the Deep Sea gear, and you can see I have the Deep Sea Pearl, I have the Deep Sea Scale Fragment, I have the Essence of the Deep Sea, and the Conch of the Deep Sea, all equipped to Charlotte, giving her that 4 gear bonus right there. If you were to just go for 2 pieces of the gear set, it only increases the speed by 5% for 2 turns at the start of a wave. Okay, so ideally you have a full speed set and you have a full defense set. Now let's talk about whether or not you should enhance this character. So Charlotte is insanely good, and I would argue she just gets better when you enhance her, right? So if you get her to 2-star enhancement, she grants SP +1 upon taking damage from her passive as well. So if you have her skill card equipped plus her enhanced passive, you are getting SP +2 ideally, because remember, her skill card is going to give you the 20% chance to grant SP +1 upon being attacked. You're not always guaranteed to get SP +2, but I mean, you're guaranteed to get SP +1 at least if you have her passive upgraded, which is insanely good. Okay, that's going to give her back her special and her combo so much faster, which is really good. And then if you get her to 4 stars, you get some extra speed, which is really like, it's going to help you out a lot with being faster than other Charlottes that aren't enhanced all the way. So if you can get her all the way to 4, that's good. And then ideally you get her to 5, because with 5, upon taking damage, grants SP +1 and extends the duration of counterattack of skill 1 and special skill by 1 turn. That is freaking broken, getting her to 5 copies, okay? Because if you give everybody counterattack because you upgraded your special skill first and then she gets attacked, she will extend that counterattack by 1 turn if she gets attacked at all. That is really good. Okay, so yeah, getting Charlotte to 5 copies I think is definitely worth it and something you guys should be working towards. If you at least get her to 2 copies though, that'll help make her a lot better. So at least 2 copies. If you can, go for 5 copies, but I know a lot of people are free to play, right? So just do what you can. And then in terms of talents, what do you want to run for talents? Well, attack, it doesn't really matter because she's not going to do that much damage. But you do want to go for attack damage because she's an attack damage character for the little bit of damage she does, and then probably just a little bit of crit rate. You could honestly go for damage dealt plus 5% and attack damage. It doesn't really matter. This is just what I decided to go for. You know, you can choose for yourself on the attack tree. It doesn't really matter all that much. On the defense tree, you do want the flat plus 20% here. And then you want the grants defense plus 4% and crit resist plus 2% at the start of a wave stacking to give her more survivability. You always want that on your support characters. And then for the support part of the talent tree, I would go for either this right here, Swiftness, or I would go for Mage's Blessing. Personally, I really like Swiftness because it grants another SP plus 1 buff upon having less than 2 SPs at the start of a turn. So this is going to help you get back your special and combo skill even faster, which you've already seen is built into her kit, which is really good. And then go for damage resist. Ideally, though, I will say you want to complete the whole support tree. Okay, that way you can use the talent carved stone here that gives +1 or +2 speed to give your Charlotte a leg up in PvP against other Charlottes. Okay, so that's kind of how I would do her talent tree and how I would build her talent tree and what talents I would choose. Now let's talk about potential teams for Charlotte. So if we go into teams here, I have a couple already set. So this is a really good blue team. Like I said at the beginning of the video, blue teams are really good for Charlotte because she gives that extra damage reduction with her combo skill. And then if you run Mars and Lotus and Julius, like this team is just absolutely nuts, right? So really good team. There's one option for PvP. You could also be running these teams in PvE just as easily, right? And then for another PvP option, you could run something like this where you have Lotus and you have Julius to decrease mobility and speed and stuff like that of the enemy team. You have insane healing from Charmy, and then now you have a supporter who is giving defense with her combo skill, and then with skill 2, you have her also giving attack up on these two, which is really good. So this is a potential team you could run. This blue team works really well as well with Charlotte. Another option you could run would be kind of the classic. We're just switching things up a little bit. So right now people have been running like Rades, Julius, and Noelle with like Mimosa or Valtos or something else in the spot. Well, now you can replace that character with Charlotte, and you don't necessarily have to go first because you can give yourself the extra damage reduction, or you can give yourself the counterattacks and stuff like that, and you don't have to worry about like going faster than the enemy team with Valtos. Okay, so this is another potential option you could run. Could work really well because you're giving defense with her, you could give defense with him, you could give barriers with him, you could give barriers with her. You have quite a bit of damage with Julius, quite a bit of damage with Noelle, right? So this is just another optional PvP team you could run. And then as for PvE, like literally any of these teams could work for PvE as well, just depends on the content you're taking on. Okay, and Charlotte is just such a versatile supporter. I will say this now, you could run her with pretty much any PvE team taking on a boss or stuff like that, and she will be useful. And then same thing almost for PvP, you could run her for pretty much any PvP team and she'd be really good, right? So Charlotte is just an insanely good support. You definitely want to be upgrading her as soon as possible, getting her to LR status. And if this video helped you guys out at all, please consider going down there, hitting that like button, hitting that subscribe button, and thank you guys so much for watching. Peace.